Hey guys, and welcome to how to paint colored glazes into pale vampire flesh on Lady Annika here. So we're going to be doing a bit of glazing today and yeah, just going through that process. I've shown many times on the channel how to, use glazing with shade colors from GW. We've done a lot of underpainting, overpainting with colors, that sort of thing into flesh tones. And now we're going to be elevating ourselves into the next stage, which is using normal colors and thinning them down and using them as a glaze like the shade colors to create colored transitions on flesh. And this is sort of we're going to go into the sort of the basics of it, and this is the early stages of learning how to sort of level up your painting into the next stage, which is the sort of things you see on box art and sort of display painters with all those colors sort of blending and fading from one color to the next across the surfaces of their minis. This is the sort of the beginnings of that. So you can use glazing for many things. A lot of it is to do with smoothing transitions, but also for changing colors. And that's one of the great things about glazing for flesh, is that you can do that. You can create these little color variations, a little bit like we've done with the underpainting, overpainting, and also the shade colors. So I think that's a really great one for us to do. And a vampire is a great subject matter for this, and it's nice and easy. So we're going to start with our pale flesh tones. So the cold gray there and the ironbark flesh from GW, and build that up. And then we'll come back in and do some of this glaze work with some purples, reds, blues, and yellows. And we're just going to add a little bit in and create a little bit of variety there. And just wet our toes at the edge of the water, and get into the process. There'll be more of this as we go, but I think this is a great video to start off with this sort of thing. So yeah, I'll stop waffling on and let's get started, eh? Okay, so before we get into the glazing, we've got to build up the flesh tones first. So we start with that cold gray there as the base layer, and we just cover all of the skin areas with that, and that's going to give us our beginnings of this flesh tone. And so we're really just doing a very simple layering process from dark to light, and that's going to give us all of our tonal values that our glazing, our color glazing, is then going to interact with and give us our vibrant finish. So we start with that cold gray, get that down, and then we move into our first sort of base skin color, which is the ironbark skin mixed with the cold gray, about 50-50. And now we're sort of paying attention to the deeper recesses, leaving the cold gray there for a bit of shadow, and sort of building it up, but not leaving too much of it. This base layer is really the first proper layer of the skin, so you can cover most of it, depending on the model that you've got. So once we've got that down and that's starting to look good, then we move into our first real layer color, which is basically the ironbark skin straight. So it can be a little bit influenced by the color before, but basically ironbark skin. And now we're paying attention to those the anatomy. So leaving the deeper creases with the shadows, etc. Now we're doing a vampire here, so you want to make the changes in shadows more subtle. So you don't want to do too stark contrasts exactly, especially over some of the flatter areas. Keep it a bit more subtle, and this gives a slight feminine quality to the skin, and that's quite good because vampires generally are usually pretty androgynous, and so that sort of gives a sort of an unsettling look to the vampire, which I think is a really cool thing. So once we've got that down, then we move into our first sort of layer highlight color, which is ironbark skin mixed with the white. And so here, what we're doing is paying attention now really to the anatomy of the face, the hands, etc., and really building out the form. So hitting the T section across the top of the face, etc., and moving along and starting to build a bit of light into that skin. And once we've got that down, then we move into our real highlight colors. So we've got more white mixed in here. So it's sort of like a 3/4, 1/4 sort of mix, I guess, or somewhere close. And now we're really paying attention to those really raised areas on the face, on the anatomy, and building in the light. So you're imagining the sun or the light source hitting from above and hitting all those top areas across the top of the forehead, etc. The knuckles, the tops of the fingers, all of that sort of thing, and building in the real definition across the surface. And then finally, for that little touch of extra drama, we have our spot highlights. So with that, it's more white mixed in, so you got a sort of very bright color, and you're just touching those really top areas in the anatomy. So the knuckles, etc., maybe across the top of the head there, the brow, the end of the nose, all those sorts of areas, just to really make this skin pop and give us a really good range of values across the skin to allow our glazing to interact and give us the best result. So now we've got the fun bit. So this is the glazing. So we've got our scarlet red, royal purple, night blue, and the deep yellow, and we're going to go in that order. So we start with the red there. Now you're looking at basically a 3-to-1 sort of mix here. So 3 parts water, 1 part scarlet red. So you can see me just building it out on the side there, and you're looking for a very transparent finish. So then you're going to wipe off most of the paint off the brush. So you've only got a very, very thin amount of this color there, and you're going to use that to now, you'll see me do it, you know, stain into the areas, into the shadows, and create a kind of fade effect into the areas that you want that color to be. So just almost like using a wash, but you're not. You're just gently fading it into those areas to change the color. And so once we've got that down, we've got enough red across the surface, then we move into the purple. Now with the purple, again, we're going to use a little bit less this time and focus more on the sort of stronger areas, so deeper recesses across the membrane of the bat wing there, you know, into the face, around the eyes to get that sunken look, you know, all of that sort of drama that you get with a vampire, just building in those colors. You're imagining the sort of the subsurface scattering, so that's the blood under the skin. So with an undead creature, you're going to get a lot of discolorations and so on, and you're trying to emphasize that with these colors. And so once we've got that down, then we move into the blue. Now the blue is I guess the real shadow color, and you want to be far more hesitant with how far you push this, so keep it nice and transparent and just allow it to hit very, very key areas, maybe around under the jawline there for a bit of a cool shadow, into the eye sockets there, and around the really deeper parts to help emphasize those shadows and build up the drama across the surface. And you should end up with a really nice mix of reds, purples and blues as you go through this. And then finally, we're going to use that yellow. Now with the yellow, you want to be extra careful here. It's very, very strong. You've got to use maybe a little touch more water here and really wipe off as much of the yellow as you possibly can. So it's just a little bit. And we're going to use that to emphasize where the bone comes through, where the skin is very, very, you know, tight and thin, and you're starting to see the yellowing discoloration with the bones underneath the skin. So on the tips of the wing there, across the top of the forehead, these types of areas, we just add a little touch of that yellow, and you'll see it instantly stain the color there, the ironbark skin, and give you a kind of off yellowish color. And that's going to help create this really lovely sort of rainbow effect or bruising effect across the surface from the reds, purples, blues up into a yellow. And you should end up with a really lovely result. And there we go, some simple glazing into some pale vamp skin. Let's take a look. So yeah, you can see how easy it is. It's very similar to the shade colors, but now we're using, you know, the normal colors. And so you get a little bit more control there. You can blend it into the skin and so on, and, you know, build it up as much as you want. So it's a great starting point in, you know, developing your skills and moving on to the next level. And we're going to continue some of these explorations into the next coming videos to further along this line and further explore it, to develop those techniques to get you, you know, along the road, that sort of thing. But I hope you've enjoyed this. I certainly have. I'm glad to put this one into the collection. I'm slowly getting through, I think, all of the vampires in the range and putting them on the channel, so that's pretty cool. Got a lot of these now. I mean, Soulblight has a ton of like individual vampires in their range. It's there's just tons of them, which is cool. You know, it's a bit like Stormcast with their characters. There's just tons of them, but they're really fun to paint. You know, these have a lot of really really great forms on them that you can really play around with, as I've done here with the blend on the robe there. But yeah, it's good. It's a good time. So yeah, I'll leave a nice image for her and the paint list as I normally do at the end. But I hope you've enjoyed this. Please hit that like button, subscribe button. It really helps me out. And I guess I'll catch you on the next one.